former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions is getting his own documentary on Netflix. So you guys just think about that for 1 second, okay? This thing's going to be called Sign Stealer. I come from a filmmaking background. Okay, I know how difficult it is to make documentaries and to shoot them, edit them, put them together. We're going to get a Connor Stallions documentary on Netflix before we really get any official word from the NCAA on what actually happened. So you just think about that a little bit. But Jake, you tweeted at me and said how angry I was going to be. I have no idea why you would say such a thing. Heroes deserve documentaries, and this hero is getting one. Okay.
I just find it funny that, and I get it, right? I get it. Why you would make a documentary about Connor Stallions before you even did any type of documentary about the Michigan team or even Jim Harbaugh. Like, it's just funny to me that when you look at all the headlines, what floats to the top, Netflix was like, yeah, let's get the Sign Stealer guy. I think depending on who you're a fan of, obviously, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're going to think it's tainted, which I don't think it's tainted. I'm a fan of neither Michigan or Ohio State. I'm just a fan of good ball, and hopefully Auburn can figure it out. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be interesting. But to your point, David, like this would be like a documentary about Donald Trump, the Donald Trump assassination attempt, before anybody at the Secret Service even told us what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. This is just before the report's even out, we're getting a Netflix documentary. And I don't think it's going to be like Swamp Kings because there isn't enough material. Like, that whole Florida team was littered with like stories of people. This is one guy who, and I know what they thought. I know if this, before this Connor Stallions thing's ever happened, David, if they would have gone to the NCAA and been like, hey, you know, maybe we need to put this official rule in here because this person would go through all this work. They'd be like, look, we know these guys break down film. We know they do a lot of scouting. No way somebody, one specific person, is going to take the time to compile all of this and use all these resources to go to these different games and do it. I just think he worked so hard and so meticulous that they didn't even build a rule in because of it. Like, and I
got a couple questions. You know, the first one's
hit me with them, Blaine.
The first one's at you, David. Was that Connor Stallions on the Central Michigan sidelines?
When I went to Ann Arbor last month, I asked the same question. I have been told that it's very likely that was Connor Stallions.
Yeah.
That brings me what? But I asked this. I asked the question. Okay, under Jim Harbaugh's instruction, and they laughed and said absolutely not. They said if Jim Harbaugh knew that Connor Stallions was going to games when he wasn't supposed to in a disguise, he would have fired him before you ever heard about what his name was. That's coming from inside the building, which that brings me to a more important point on this documentary, the title Sign Stealer, right?
Yeah.
It's not advanced. It's not advanced scouting. That's not this whole thing. It's just like the initial report we got from Pete Thamel, right? Hey, Sign Stealer, and then 7 paragraphs down. Oh, by the way, breaking down film on opponent signals is not technically against the rules. You can't go watch them play in person. So here we go again. We're going to call the documentary.
That's going to be my other question. How does Netflix? How did they paint the narrative here?
So
they'll paint all sides of it.
Well, what we saw was it said on at least what On 3 posted, it said Connor Stallions gets to tell his version of the story in the documentary. So obviously it's going to be completely unbiased.
Yeah, no, they'll look. I think they'll show all sides of it. I think they'll, try and get every demographic possible, the people that hated it, the people that loved it, and then try and inform the people that didn't know anything about it. But golly, the title Sign Stealer, that's like having a title bank robber when you realize that the guy just embezzled money because he worked at the bank and he did it in a way that like wasn't even illegal. Like he was able to do it, but they just call him bank robber. You think he's John Dillinger, and turns out he's really just John Johnson, CFO.
Well, the last thing I'll say about it before we move on, if you are a Michigan fan, as frustrating as it was to watch Jim Harbaugh be suspended by the conference for a rule that wasn't a conference rule, but for an NCAA rule on the 3 most important games of the season and against your biggest rival, as frustrating as that was, looking back now that you have won the national championship, it sort of is even more validating and more rewarding because now you're looking at it saying, oh, it's almost like a double jeopardy situation. oh, the NCAA wanted him to be suspended so badly they had the conference do it. They still won all those games and won the national championship. So miss me with any, NCAA sanctions coming down now that you've already had our coach suspended.
David, and to me, now that I look back on it in the day that we said, I think they did y'all a favor. I think they did y'all a favor because they gave y'all's next coach the best on-the-job experience possible. Now looking back, you guys went undefeated. You won it, right? You won every game. All they did was give Coach Moore some true best real-life, real-world experience. Oh, no, the manager at the bank, he's got COVID, or he got suspended by the SEC for some bullshit. All right, Derek, you got to be the manager for the day at the bank. And then all of a sudden, the manager gets moved up, even higher up in corporate. Now, Derek, hell, he ran it during Thanksgiving. He ran it when the debit cards were all screwed up. Like, I think they helped all out.
The big shout out to the NCAA being 4 steps ahead on this one.
I know they're playing 5D chess.
Like, why do an investigation when you know?
Always.
You can just watch the doc.
And y'all got a Netflix deal. Connor Stallion's the biggest winner out of all this. Connor Stallion's the biggest winner.
I don't read the script. Script reads me.
Yeah, script reads me.
So the NCAA is letting Netflix do all the work. They're like, why would we spend money to investigate? We can let Netflix do it.
You want to talk
Connor
about
Stallion's the biggest winner. All he did was hide at a Central Michigan game and have fun coming up with stealing signs. Now he's a hero. He's a toast of the town. All the rivals hate him. And Netflix is like, hey, dog, let's do a document. This is,
he's Michigan's Robin Hood, dude. I'm telling you, he's Michigan's Robin Hood.
Robin from the Ridge.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and like the video. We really, really appreciate it.